Vitame! Welcome to another episode of The Awesome Cook. This is Jake Sikora, and on this week's episode, I'm going to play homage to my Polish heritage. For those of you who don't know, I am half Polish. My father came here from Poland as a young child, and I am creating a take on a traditional Polish recipe called GOŁOBKI. A lot of you have had GOŁOBKI and did not know it was called that. It's also known as stuffed cabbage or cabbage rolls. So this week's episode, I'm calling these lazy crockpot cabbage rolls. So all my relatives out there, please don't show this episode to Babcia because she probably won't like the fact that I'm not making it traditionally. That's not to say I may make the traditional way in a future episode. Also, I wanted to briefly mention to all my Weight Watchers peeps out there, hello, that I will, going forward, say the smart point value of my recipes in the video. I do put it in the description, however, some of you might have missed that. So this week's episode is 4 smart points per serving, and this will easily make 6 servings of this. So let's get started. Alright, before we get started, I'm going to go over the ingredients for this recipe. One of the things that I'm going to use for this recipe is ground turkey beef. Or turkey meat. This is not traditionally what we use for GOŁOBKI. Usually it's a mix of ground beef and pork or just ground beef. And you're happy to do that if you like to, but I'm going to keep this healthy and low in points, so I'm using this honeysuckle white ground turkey meat. It's 93% lean, 7% fat, so we're going to use that. Now, I'm going to make this as easy as possible recipe for everyone out there. So a lot of times you can use fresh cabbage, obviously, if you want to cut that up and use a head of cabbage, just like you would making cabbage rolls. But since this is going to be in the crock pot, I'm using a couple bags of this pre-made coleslaw. Again, there's no, when you buy this at a store, there's no mayonnaise or any dressing on it, so it's just carrots and cabbage. So I'm going to use this, 2 bags of this. I'm also going to use onion. This is about a medium-sized to small onion chopped. A lot of the recipes I see out there use green pepper, and you're happy to use it if you like that. Traditionally, where my family comes from, we don't use green peppers. I see a lot of times mushrooms. I remember my dad telling me about them picking mushrooms and using them a lot in recipes. So I am including fresh mushrooms, and of course you can use canned mushrooms, but I think it tastes better fresh. And we traditionally put rice in our stuffed cabbage, and I'm using a cup of instant brown rice. This is some instant brown rice I bought from Aldi. We're also going to use a can of tomato sauce, just your regular standard can. This is a 15 ounce can of tomato sauce. And I'm also using a can of diced tomatoes. This variety I'm using is the roasted garlic and onion, just to bring out those flavors in here. You can definitely just use plain diced tomatoes. I highly suggest not to use the Italian style ones because we're not making Italian food here, so keeping with the tradition. But if you want to make that twist, that's your prerogative. I'm also using some garlic, parsley, salt, pepper, and then I have a half cup of water that we're going to add to the crock pot here. So these are the ingredients, and then next I'll show you what we're going to do, assemble everything in the crock pot. Okay, so we have, this is a larger crock pot. You can certainly make this recipe in a smaller crock pot if you like. I just like it better in here. It's just it looks better to me. But one thing to keep in mind if you have never used a crock pot, a lot of people, I don't know, they get a misconception that crock pots are just used for pot roast or things like that. Probably that's what they're raised with, experiencing exposure to. So, but it can be made for many different things. But one thing that I learned is that when you layer things in a crock pot, you usually want to put your fresh vegetables on the bottom most of the time. So we're gonna put the onions at the bottom. Oh, and before I do this, I wanted to mention that I did spray the liner, and this is a liner that you can buy at the grocery store, crock pot liners. You don't have to. I just like the easier cleanup with it. But I sprayed with non-stick cooking spray to prevent from sticking. But we're gonna put at the bottom the onions, and then we'll dump the mushrooms next. And a lot of busy people out there, I love the crock pot. It's something that you seriously just set it and forget it. There's not really much you can screw up on it when you use the crock pot. Now, I'm going to put one layer at the bottom of the coleslaw mixture. And I know I said 2 bags, but I'm thinking today I just feel like just doing one. Depending on how many people you have, you can definitely do more than that, but I'm just doing one. Next I'm going to, and I only put half the mixture on the bottom, I'm going to take the ground turkey meat and crumble it on top of that. I'm using my hands. I'm a very dexterous person, so it doesn't bother me raw meat. I know some people are probably getting grossed out there that, you know, oh, he's touching raw meat. But as long as you wash your hands, there shouldn't be an issue with cross-contamination or anything like that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just one of those people that just like, I just like the feel and getting down and dirty and cooking, right? You know, there's fun in cooking, just like creating in art and things like that. I just think it's fun getting your hands a little dirty while cooking. Okay, so I'm gonna wash my hands with some hot water and soap. And then I'm gonna next put the rice in. This is a cup of the instant brown rice. And I'm gonna season it. And I would say a half teaspoon of salt, a good amount of pepper, some parsley, and I would say this is about a tablespoon. A little bit more in there. And definitely, you can freshen this up. I'm going to put another tablespoon of that. You can definitely freshen up by putting fresh parsley as well as fresh garlic in here too. You know, cooking is not an exact science, so it can be. People say, "Well, I liked it this way. I like it that way." That's absolutely your preference. I'm just showing you my version, my liking, my idea, and you can definitely make it to your liking. There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to cooking things. Most things, I should say. Next, I'm going to put the diced tomatoes. You don't have to drain it. I'm not going to drain it. And then the tomato sauce, a can of this 15-ounce tomato sauce. And then I'm going to add the water. Half cup goes in the crock pot. Sometimes, a lot of times in the crock pot recipes, you're going to just add water. Depending on the recipe, you may not have to add water because there might be a lot of water in the stuff, in ingredients. But we're going to put this on I'm going to cook this on low. If I'm home or away for the day or whatnot, I usually like to cook on low. If I'm in a hurry, I'll put it on high. But if you're going to cook it on low, it's going to cook for 7 to 8 hours. And then if you put it on high, I would say 3 to 4 hours. You can check on it, and we're going to check on this here in that time. So I'll see you later today. Before I forget, I added another layer of cabbage, the coleslaw mix, on top of it before we set it for the 8 hours or the 3 to 4 hours, depending on the temperature setting you use. So I wanted to show you that I did add this before I set it and forget it. All right, so it's been about 7 hours. I just wanted to let everyone know that I did halfway through add another half cup of water because I thought it was a little bit dry, just to stir things around. So if you're going to leave it all day, I would put a whole cup of water instead of half cup. And you don't have to stir it. I just did it because I was home. So let's open it up and see the goodness. Oh my goodness. The smell is amazing. And it looks exactly how it should look inside a stuffed cabbage, except if you broke it apart, the cabbage rolls. I'm going to lift that up so you can see the consistency. And if you want to add more water, more sauce, that's up to you if you want to make it a little more soupier. But I like it thick because that's how cabbage rolls GOŁOBKI, that's how we make it. So I'm going to serve a little bit up and we'll go from there. Alright, so I served myself some of the lazy Crockpot stuffed cabbage rolls. So it's really hot, but it smells so good. Pyszne, delicious. This is really wonderful. Like I said, it saves a lot of time. If you're busy, and you love stuffed cabbage, and you can't roll and take the time to make the cabbage rolls, this is an amazing, healthy option. Again, this is only for smartpoints for my Weight Watchers friends out there. So please subscribe to my page. Leave any comments that you have. And if you want to look for me on the Weight Watchers Connect, my username is JASIKORA 1981. So JA Sakura 1981. Do widzenia. Goodbye, everyone. Until next Monday. And again, everyone, stay awesome.